In My Hero Academia, there is a pivotal moment for the character named Lemillion. During this moment, I believe at least that he made the wrong choice. However, before we can get into that, let me lay out the context. During the 4th season of My Hero Academia, many heroes partook in a raid of the Yakuza's headquarters. It was strongly believed that the leader of the group, Overhaul, was harboring a child that had the ability to get rid of quirks. By utilizing his own quirk, which allows him to disassemble and reassemble things at will, he was weaponizing the girl's quirk in the form of bullets. If Overhaul had succeeded in spreading these bullets, the society would have fallen into chaos, with him as the ultimate puppet master. The mission was simple: find Overhaul, eliminate him, rescue the girl whose name is Eri, and with the fate of society as they knew it on the line, the raid progressed. As it went on, the main group making progress deeper into the headquarters got smaller and smaller, as accompanying heroes had stayed behind to fend off the Yakuza members that were buying time for their leader. Eventually, due to complications along the way, Lemillion was the sole hero standing between Overhaul and his escape with Eri. A fight ensues, and as it unfolds, it seems more and more like Lemillion is actually getting the upper hand. In order to put an end to the engagement, one of the villains that was accompanying Overhaul fires a quirk-destroying bullet at Eri, the assumption being that Lemillion would jump in the way and take the bullet for her, to which he did. As mentioned previously, I feel as if this was objectively the wrong decision for Lemillion to make, and I will now explain to you why. The villain in this instance who shot at Eri is actually throwing. If I was Overhaul, I would be absolutely livid at my subordinate for making such an incompetent decision, as from Lemillion's perspective, this bullet can only be one of two things: either a real bullet or a quirk-destroying one. Either one is a fine outcome for him, but before that, you have to ask yourself, are they really going to shoot and kill an absolutely essential key to their whole operation, who without it's impossible? It seems unlikely. But if you really believe that, then fuck it, dude. Just let it happen. At that point, they have fucked themselves. The threat to Quirk Society as we know it would have been quelled, and now all that's left would have been to eliminate Overhaul, who, by the way, Lemillion currently had on the ropes. If it happened to be the quirk-destroying bullet, then great, even better. Once again, they have fucked themselves by losing the key to their whole operation. Plus, as an added bonus, Eri gets to live without having to worry about her devastating quirk which she could not control. It was a sort of curse for her in a sense. No matter which sort of bullet hits her, it completely fucks the villains, and the mission succeeds. However, it's vice versa if Lemillion chooses to take the bullet. If you look at both options, they're fucking awful. If the bullet is real, then at worst, Lemillion just straight up dies, at which point Overhaul and co will just retrieve Eri and the whole mission is for naught. Then, by extension, Lemillion would have fucked Quirk Society as we knew it, since Overhaul's plan would have more than likely succeeded. At the best, he'll be significantly injured by the bullet wound. Considering the fight was close enough before this injury, I can't see it going well for him after it, meaning more than likely Overhaul would just take care of him shortly after. He then again retrieves Eri and the same thing happens as previously. If the bullet wasn't real, and it was in fact the quirk-destroying one, then more likely than not, this is also really bad if he chooses to take it. As I mentioned before, this fight was close enough when he had a quirk. You can't have the hubris to believe that you can still fend them off without it. I know that is what happened in the end, but before it actually happening, there is no way you could have known that that is what would have happened. It's much more likely that Overhaul and co just make short work of you and they retrieve Eri. Then once again, the same thing just happens and society's fucked. Also, just another thing to consider while we're here, even in the best possible scenario, which is ironically the one that we got, it's still pretty bad, as you have to consider now the knock-on effect of Lemillion being quirkless. This guy was one of the most promising upcoming heroes of his generation. How many people would have suffered due to him not being there to intervene? How many people might die even? All his future potential hero work is gone. Even though it's unfair, since he opted into this situation himself by taking that bullet, that potential suffering is on him. It reminds me of a quote I once heard that's somewhat fitting to this situation, which goes along like this: if there's something wrong, those who have ability to take action have the responsibility to take action. Many people I know who are successful in their fields believe this. It's a harsh standard, I know, but there is in fact some truth to it. So as you can see, when you unravel it, the decision to take the bullet for Eri is pretty bad and is pretty much objectively the worst decision that he could have made in that situation. As if you look into what's most likely for both options, then you can see how much of a disaster it is if he chooses to tank it. But while watching this, you might be sitting there and thinking to yourself, well, Lemillion didn't think this far ahead, he just acted on impulse because that's the kind of guy he is. To which I say, I can see that perspective, and I do agree to an extent. but I don't believe it's unlikely that he could have come to the same conclusion that I did, as throughout this season, he was shown to us to be a forward-thinking person. It was instilled to him by his mentor, Night Eye, to always consider many moves ahead in order to predict what your opponent will do and pick the appropriate countermeasure. Sure, it may not be particularly hero-like or stylish to let someone potentially die, but it's undoubtedly the course of action that would have almost certainly led to the downfall of everything the villains were trying to achieve. And ultimately, isn't the protection of society the goal of a hero? Of course, you're free to disagree. This is just my perspective, and I thought it was interesting enough to share. Please subscribe for more videos on topics such as this, and on any of my other interests. I'll see you guys on the next one.